What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. And today we're talking about another track from Use Your Illusion 1. This one is Back Off Bitch. Now, this song was written by Axl Rose and Paul Tobias, or Paul Hughey as he's sometimes referred to as. And this is probably one of the oldest songs that was written by Axl Rose. It actually predates Guns N' Roses. According to a 1992 interview Axl did with Rolling Stone, he said that the song was written 10 years ago, so it would have probably been written around 1981, 1982. And this was confirmed by Axl at a Guns N' Roses show in Toronto, Canada in June of 1991. It's the only time during the Use Your Illusion tour they played Back Off Bitch, and he said that the song was actually written in 1981. So if you guys want to hear the live performance from their 91 show in Toronto, I've linked to it down below. While most of the show was actually recorded and it's pretty good quality, for some reason Back Off Bitch is not included in the video recording. And then in 1998, in February of 98, almost 6.5 years after Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out, Axl was actually sued by his ex-Hollywood Rose bandmate Chris Webber. And now Chris Webber in his lawsuit claimed that he had co-wrote 2 of Guns N' Roses songs which he is not credited for, including Shadow of Your Love and Back Off Bitch. At the time that the lawsuit was filed, there was never a dollar figure attached to the suit. And as you guys know, Chris Webber and Axl Rose played together in 1983 in a band called Rose that also featured Izzy Stradlin. And then they eventually changed their name to Hollywood Rose, and then shortly after the band would end up splitting, and Axl would go on to front LA Guns and then eventually the historic Guns N' Roses. And this wasn't the first time that Chris Webber took the band to court. He took them to court in 1991 over songwriting credits. And Webber has actually been credited as the co-writer on the song Anything Goes off Appetite for Destruction, Reckless Life, and Move to the City off GNR Lies, which was released in 1988. And according to Wikipedia, they also say Shadow of Your Love as well. But when you look at the songwriting credits for Shadow of Your Love, he's not listed as one of the writers. And in 1997, reports had surfaced that Webber was planning on releasing old Hollywood Rose material and that Axl had blocked him from doing so. But Webber counters this claim by saying he told press sources that he didn't want to release the old tapes and that he had only called Guns N' Roses manager Doug Goldstein to let him know that he had them, but was immediately warned he would be not allowed to release any of the material. And at the time that he filed the lawsuit against Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses, Geffen Records had this statement to say, saying, "Whenever a band sells millions of records, you can count on frivolous publishing lawsuits following right behind." If you guys are wondering what happened to the lawsuit, Chris Webber ended up losing the lawsuit because the statute of limitations had passed. He'd claimed that he'd been negotiating with the band until 1994, and of course the album came out in 1991. The article also claims that he'd been aware that GNR was using Hollywood Rose songs since 1987, and any subsequent albums they may release could feature old Hollywood Rose songs. So if you guys want to read the article, I've linked to it down below. In an interview that Slash did in Guitar World in February of 92, he revealed that he plays the main solo in the song. He said he used to play this high-end trill thing for the first solo, but I could never play it consistently, so I just took it off altogether and let Izzy play a lead on it, which is a lot cooler. He said it's a contemporary metal style song, and he said it's so generic in that way, and he also said, I'm picking them, the fast arpeggios. I can't tap to save my life. Now, this is one of the few Guns N' Roses songs to feature Izzy Stradlin playing a longer guitar solo. The solo opens the album version, and the solo is more complex than the intro played on the earlier live versions. And then, according to an article that was done by Rip Magazine in 1991, just before the Illusions records came out, they talked about a demo tape that Guns N' Roses did in 1986. The demo tape featured songs including Don't Cry, Welcome to the Jungle, Anything Goes, and Back Off Bitch. Now, speaking of demos, there's 2 demos of the song available on YouTube. There's one from 1986, and there's also one from 1987. So I've linked to both those demos for you guys to go check out. It sounds a lot rougher and not as polished, of course, as what appeared on Use Your Illusion 1. Now, let's talk about how Back Off Bitch did little to help the band's image. Often when Guns N' Roses were criticized, they'd often bring up the word misogynistic or misogynist. And in the interview that Axl did with Rolling Stone in 1992, Back Off Bitch came up in one of the questions. So the interviewer asked, what about songs that are perceived as misogynist? A lot of people see songs like Back Off Bitch and Locomotive as a reflection of your current views on women. To which Axl responded, "Yeah, and that's wrong. I can understand that because the records just came out, but Back Off Bitch is a 10-year-old song." He talked about how he's been doing a lot of work on himself, and he's found that he has a lot of hatred for women. He talked about how it stems from his childhood, how he was rejected by his mother since he was a baby, and how his mother picked his stepfather over him, even though his stepfather actually beat his mother. And he also talked about how his grandmother had a real hatred for men and had a problem with men. So that sort of had a lot to do with, the lyrics that went into those kinds of songs. Now, Back Off Bitch has been played a total of 26 times by Guns N' Roses from 1985 to 1991. So the first time it was ever played by Guns N' Roses was at the Troubadour in West Hollywood on June 6th of 1985. And like I said earlier, the last time it was played was on June 7th in 1991 in Toronto, Canada. They played 2 shows in Toronto. This was the first show they'd played. And the song was, of course, played by Hollywood Rose back in the day as well. It was played only twice. The first live performance was at Madame Wong's East in Los Angeles in 1984 in June. And then Axl's actually talked a bit about the song during some of the live performances they've done. So he said in one performance before Guns N' Roses in 1984, he said, "This is Back Off Bitch for every guy and girl who just bugs the fuck out of them." And then at a performance with Guns N' Roses at the Troubadour in November of 1985, he said, this is a real pretty tune for everybody out there that has somebody who just won't fucking leave them alone, who bugs you a little too much. The song is called Back Off Bitch." Now, if you guys have read Mark Cantor's book, Reckless Road, which is a fantastic read, I highly recommend you guys pick it up. The first concert that Guns N' Roses ever performed with the original 5 guys took place on June 6th of 1985 at the Troubadour. And that's why Guns N' Roses played the Troubadour when the reunion happened late last year. So the songs that they played included Back Off Bitch. So Back Off Bitch has been around for a long time. They've been performing it way back in the club days. The other songs they played at that show include Reckless Life, Shadow of Your Love, Jumpin' Jack Flash. They had Think About You, Move to the City, Nice Boys Don't Play Rock and Roll, and a handful of other ones. But you can really see that a lot of these Use Your Illusion songs had been sitting around for a long time, and they just weren't added to Appetite. They were just held over and then eventually recorded for the Illusions Records. And if you guys want to see some of the early live performances of the song, there's one on YouTube from the Roxy, there's one from the Troubadour, and then there's one which they just say is from circa 86, 87, or even 85. So I've linked to those performances down below. Let's finally go on to the last part of our show where we always look at where the song ranks on the Guns N' Roses best to worst song list. Now, Back Off Bitch did not do very well on a lot of the lists. It ranked number 74 on Spin.com's ranking of all the Guns N' Roses songs. They said that Axl Rose sounds kind of bored by his own predictability here. LA Weekly ranked it a little bit higher, number 27th. They said cheeky misogyny by Axl, like Lou Reed and Robert Plant before him, but poorly titled in such a way that it's been hijacked by hillbillies in Toyota Tacomas who think women should be sticking to knitting. And then GuitarWorld.com only ranked the Illusion songs, and this one ranked pretty low. It was number 25th. And as you guys know, Paul Hughey got a writing credit on this song. He also played guitar on Guns' cover of Sympathy for the Devil. And of course, he eventually replaced Gilby Clarke for a period of time because he was Axl's old friend from Indiana. So they didn't think it held up very good against some of the more fast-paced numbers on the Illusions records. So that does it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys learned something about Back Off Bitch. Let me know what your feelings are on the song. This seems to be a song that a lot of people in the GNR community don't like. They consider it as kind of filler on the actual album, and some people I've even read don't really like the chorus. They said the song is really good, but then the chorus could have been much stronger. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for all things related to Guns N' Roses, and be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I've linked to my social media pages down below in the description box. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.